What's going on, Falcon fan? This is your boy Rick Canoe coming back at you with another video. And guys, Matty Ice is back in the building. I don't think when they said the interview went good. Okay, sure, right? I think we all know this to be the case. They've been talking about it for weeks now. Every major outlet, sports outlet, that talks about football, have been talking about this. Um, One thing I think is interesting to note that before the season's over, they was already talking about this. So it just reconfirms my feelings that Arthur Blank had made a decision weeks out that he was going to move in a different direction, with this organization. Those guys might have already known about it. They just kept it on the hush. And that's testament to the coaching staff and the players as well, because if they known about it before this end of the season, the fact that they kept playing hard, to you know to put something out there was awesome, man, for the fan base, right? Because even though we know we was out the playoffs, it did feel good, to beat the Aints twice, most definitely, to actually put implications on the playoff seedings. Look at what we did: Rams, Tampa Bay, and Carolina end up being the NFC South champs. But all those things took place, and I believe that it happened after the decision was already made for the Atlanta Falcons to go in a different direction. So that's testament to those guys. Like I said, he just felt like after 2 years, these guys was not going to be able to get the Atlanta Falcons to what they do to lead those guys into the future. And with that being said, we do have a new president of football. Well, I won't say new, right? We have a president of football because this is the first time the Atlanta Falcons ever had this position, and I can't think of a better person to start this new position for the Atlanta Falcons. I do believe that he's the right man for the job, and we're definitely gonna get into that. But guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button, so I know you guys that hear I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come hear me talk about these our Atlanta Falcons. So before we get into the Matty Ice news, we do have some other news that's out from our Atlanta Falcons. And guys, we have 4 All Pros that was listed today from the Atlanta Falcons. So that's even make it even worse. You know what I'm saying? We got 4 All Pros on our team, and we still couldn't sniff the playoffs in the last 8 years. So that's disheartening in itself when you think about it. Yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah, but Bijan being first team All Pro, of course. I think we could have saw that he had 2,298 yards, all combined yards. Almost hit that 2,300 mile mark. But if you look at all time, all purpose yards, he's like fifth, right? Fifth or sixth on the list. I can't. If guys correct me on that, I think they're fifth or sixth on the list. So that's saying a lot right there. So Bijan being the first team All Pro. And then we have 3 second team All Pros. Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a second team All Pro, guys. Tight end. So he's in the contract season. So here we go. And if you go back to earlier in this offseason when I talked about Kyle Pitts, he was going to be the X factor. He played tremendously, right? He led the team in receiving yards. Of course, Drake probably would have blew it out the water. If he didn't only played in 12 games. Drake's in second with probably about 11 yards behind Kyle Pitts. So it's not a whole lot of yards, but Kyle Pitts did leave the team in receiving yards. Of course, he saw what he was able to do. We saw flashes of him being back in his first season here, and he was a rookie. We saw some of those things. So, honestly, in my opinion, I think they should bring Kyle Pitts back. I think the course of action they should do is franchise tag him first, to just be able to negotiate some kind of long-term deal with Kyle Pitts would be, my preference. Unless they can get a deal done before that, but definitely I think he should be the franchise tag guy for the Atlanta Falcons. Since they cleared up that cap space with Kirk Cousins, it is feasible for them to go down that route to try to do that franchise tag. Um, I know we do have a couple more free agents that we still want to keep as well. Another one is Caden Ellis. Out of all the free agents we got, those are my two on top of the list is Caden Ellis and Kyle Pitts. They could actually find some way to bring both of those guys back would be really good, because of the potential those guys could have when you adding new pieces to the team, right? I think Tyler Algier is going to be gone, and he deservedly so. Tyler Algier is the number one running back in this league, and my preference for Tyler Algier is probably to go to the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Get out the NFC for one thing, and then go to a team that can utilize your services. I think the Kansas City Chiefs would be a perfect fit for him. Um, and I don't think he's going to come back. So that's another guy, and that'll help Atlanta Falcons get some compensatory picks too if we lose a guy like Tyler Algier. So those that's why I feel about so the All Pro, of course, is first team Bijan, Kyle Pitts second team. And then we have two more guys, Jesse Bates the third is our second team All Pro, and of course Chris Lindstrom is second team All Pro. So kudos to those guys. And like I said, having four guys that's all pros on your team and you're not even sniffing the playoffs, it's just proves that the Atlanta Falcons it's missing around the margins. I talked about that in some videos earlier this season about not winning around the margins, and that's the issues. When you do have talent, it shows throughout this team, and you missing around the margins. And a lot of people, want to talk about the quarterback position, but believe it or not, a lot of those games that we lost wasn't because of the quarterback play, right? Quarterback wasn't it. They didn't win because of the quarterback, but I don't think they lost because of the quarterback. If you understand what I'm saying, and you can look at games sometimes to the so-called title of a game manager, where you make enough plays to win, but other things happen for why you lose, and that's the what I'm talking about. Um, so with that being said, congratulations to those guys. Um, we'll see if they can continue their success, and we can add some more Pro Bowlers to this team. Some more All Pros to this team. All right, let's get into the real news of why we are here today. And Matty Ice is president, right? So first of all, you guys know if you go back to you know my videos talking about Matt Ryan and how polarizing he was for his organization, right? We all know the story. He took over for Michael Vick, right? And I know the admiration and how much excitement the fan base had for Michael Vick, right? And then the guy coming in is taking over the mantle for Michael Vick, and big shoes to fill, right? Because Michael Vick kind of put the Atlanta Falcons on the map, early 2000s. Now, with that being said, Michael Vick did not win a lot. He was exciting, he did a lot, but he only had two winning seasons in 6 years. Um, but he was electric, man, and he was excitement, and he will always be, one of the best Atlanta Falcons ever played this game. With that being said, the greatest Atlanta Falcons is Matt Ryan, without a doubt. Right? He holds all the records. He has. He is the one that makes the Atlanta Falcons look like a winning team. For those 14 seasons, that was the most wins that Atlanta Falcons have had during a 10-year, and it's all up on the helm of Matt Ryan, right? And I can say this: we talk about um, not losing because of the quarterback. It was probably 85 to 95%. 85, that's a big margin. 90 to 95% of the time, the reason we lost was not because of Matt Ryan. That's 100% the case, right? He did his job. If you go back and look at the years Matt Ryan played, the Atlanta Falcons scored enough points to win lots of times, right? You go look at his But when he retired, he was tied way up there high for fourth quarter comebacks, right? It's so many things that when you look, and we're gonna have this debate in a couple of years here if he deserved to be a Hall of Famer, and we'll definitely not see that. But I can tell you this much: when you think about Matt Ryan, like I said, he's the greatest Falcon of all time. I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about Falcon, right? Because I know some guys to come through here. We could talk about Julio. We could talk about Mike. We could talk about prime time, right? Um, Bijan is putting his name in the hat, right, for being one of the greatest Falcons. But Matt Ryan is the greatest Falcon of all time. You talk about Roddy White. You talk about Gunzo, right? When he was here, his period, his stint that he had here, those are great Falcons. But the greatest Falcon of all time is Matt Ryan, hands down. And when you think about it, you go through those years, the reason it wasn't, like I said, the defense is out of his 14 seasons. You know how many times Matt Ryan had a top 10 defense? Once. Once. And you know what year that was? 2017. Go look it up. Go look it up. Top 10 defense once his entire career with the Atlanta Falcons, right? And you talk about the GOAT, Tom Brady, right? Go look how many times he had a top 10 defense, right? It's a team sport. And I thought Matt Ryan did enough to garner the admiration of this franchise, and I thought he put it all out. Think about it. He didn't miss games either. He played through, and we know he used to get killed from defenders, man. You go look at Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan just loves sacking Matt Ryan for the New Orleans Saints, man. But he didn't miss games. He played every week too, and he tough as nails, um, smart as hell, and he's a Atlanta Falcon. And I can tell you this much: when you think about Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan, and Arthur Blank, those two guys, out of anybody else who wanted to bring a Super Bowl to this franchise, they would probably be at the top of the list, right? So the ideal of bringing him in to be president, and this is a new position, so this is not something that that somebody he's taking somebody's spot or somebody. This is a new position, right? So of course you bring all these consultants in, and they kind of look at other sports around the world, not just football teams, but other sports, and they kind of try to mirror those where you have a guy that's over the football and stuff that's on the field, because Arthur Arthur Blank really wanted to emphasize that it's not operations. So that's why I don't want to say football or president operations, because operations speak still going to go to Greg Beatles, right? He's the CEO. He's the one who's going to be handling out the operation piece. Matt Ryan is all about the football piece, right? What they do on the field, how to get the right people on the field to get the desired results that we want. That's what it really boils down to. So um, this is an exciting day, guys. It really is, because we know that he cares just as much as we care, right? And that's what fans want. Most of all, listen to the statement for Arthur Blank himself. He said, "I I have full confidence and trust in Matt as we strive to deliver a championship caliber team for the Atlanta Falcon fans everywhere." That's the statement from the owner Arthur Blank, right? We go to Matt Ryan's statement here. And he says, Arthur gave me a chance of a lifetime almost 20 years ago, and he done it again. While I appreciate the time I had with the Colts and CBS, I've always been a Falcon. My commitment to success for this franchise has not changed. I'm beyond ready to help write a new chapter of excellence. That's from Matt Ryan. He also says, I know firsthand what great foundation organization has, and I'm confident that we can build that and cement a culture of accountability, tenacity, resilience, and winning, setting clear expectations for every single person who walks in the Flowery Branch or put on a Falcons uniform, reinvigorating our approach with strategic thinking and being disciplined about finding near term wins and set up for long term success. These are priorities and principles I will bring to this role. All right. So those that's his statement, right? He has a press conference actually on Tuesday at 11 o'clock. So we'll definitely get to see that. Of course, a lot of people question about him not having the experience, right? And he this is where he said as well. I also recognize this side of football is not where I come from. I have played and cemented, but I have had directly operated. So he's basically saying that he hasn't played. He know he's humble, right? He haven't shown humility here. The fact that he has not been in the front office side, but he has played for 14 years, 15 if you count the coach, right? Um, and he have great resources and partners throughout the organization. Unfortunately, to have mentors across the league. That said, I do understand the weight of this role, and I live in confidence and perspective my years as a player and as a team leader give me that this is not a new table, it's just a new seat. So basically what he's saying is he know he does not have the experience and he's going to put the right people in place. And I can tell you this from experience for being a leader, right? Is that you don't you know that you don't have all the answers. You know you don't have all the answers, but you're going to put the right people in place and show that leadership where you can get stuff done the way you want to do it. The biggest thing that what needs to happen when you bring a guy like this in this new position in is what one of the things Arthur Blank talk about not having clear vision and the clarity going forward. So the president, the GM, and the coach need to be all lockstep. That's what it really boils down to. That's what needs to happen. So I just like the way he comes in already because those definitely going to be the question. And what I think about, and it's only one precedent that you can think about where um, you have seen this take place in the football organization, and that's with the Denver Broncos when John Elway came in, right? All-time Denver Bronco, great player comes back, goes into the front office. Now, unfortunately, John Elway was able to get a Peyton Manning to come in to be his quarterback, right? And we, history is written. They went to two Super Bowls, they won one, um, but we've seen it done before, right? But Matt Ryan is not coming in and trying to be the GM. He's not coming in and trying to be the coach. He's coming in to make sure that when you do bring in a GM and when you do bring in a coach, you actually have those guys come in and be on the same page, right? Have the same page, right? The biggest question, it's a lot of questions for this franchise right now, right? So when you do bring in a coach, you got to ask about the quarterback position, what they got, what they think about that, right? Michael Penix, what's the plan? Because if Michael Penix is not ready for the start of the season, right? And this is not a 1 year deal, right? I know people thinking that they expect to win right now. Well, your quarterbacks is uncertain. That should be the first thing that need to be understood. When you don't have a certainty at quarterback, right? You're not going into the Baltimore Ravens organizations when you got a two-time MVP there, right? That's where all bets are off. We got a two-time MVP. The expectation is to get to the Super Bowl, right? In this instance, we need to understand that you don't have a certain the number one important position locked in. So you need to understand that is where the emphasis need to be. Understanding that we need to get that right first, right? In the meantime, right, until we get that right, let's build around you know the team and win around the margins, man. Right? Like I said, I really believe that with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, neither one of those guys played terrible enough that the reason they lost the game because of quarterback play. Go look at the games. It was not because quarterback play was bad, right? I'm not saying now quarterback play was like Superman's like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Maybe they would have pulled out some of the games you had quarterback play like that. But the point I'm making is, if you watch the games, we didn't lose because the quarterback didn't make plays. We lost because special teams. We lost because we missed field goals. We lost because we couldn't get off the field on third down. We lost because we couldn't convert a third down because terrible play calling, right? A lack of execution, not just from the quarterback, but from other players not blocking right. Things like that. So you got to look at it and take it out. And I understand that the quarterback play has to be better, but you have to build a team and then come in. But they do have to have a vision for the quarterback. That's one of the things that they should be thinking about. All right, let me get into some of these comments before I continue here. Um, Eddie Williams say Jesse Tuggle keep Brooking the best Falcon. Man, get your ass out here. Man, dude, somebody that is not a Falcons fan is going to try to tell a Falcons fan, a real Falcon fan, who's the best Falcon ever. Matt Ryan's the best Falcon ever, dude. Hold all the records. Jesse Tuggle was great. He's the hammer, man. I, I have nothing bad to say about Jesse Tuggle. Keith Brookings, like, that's an insult. Keith Brookings made all his tackles like 10 yards downfield. Like, he never compare him to Jesse Tuggle is an insult. So first of all, and then you say Vic is voted. It don't matter who is voted, brother. People lie. Numbers don't lie. People lie. Numbers don't lie. That's why we have this ludicrous argument about Michael Jordan being the GOAT when he don't hold no. Just Isaiah Thomas said the best. He holds no records for nothing. But y'all got nostalgia because, but what is the greatest in, right? That's the thing. Michael Vick was great, and I'm a big Michael Vick fan. But Michael Vick didn't win. He played for 6 seasons and won 2. He had 2 wins. All that talent he had, and he produced 2 winning seasons. And I'm not trying to shit on Michael Vick, but I'm just saying, like, let's be honest. Let's be honest, man. Top 10 defense, that's because all the money went to the offensive side of the ball. Excuses. You had 14 seasons to put money into the other side of the ball. You did. You had other seasons to put money to the other side of the ball. Atlanta is following Denver's model with a new setup, not for a debate, Recondo. Okay. I just said that. It's precedence. Denver. You don't have the markings of a varsity athlete. I don't know what that means. That all teams is on my favorite statement. Okay. Of course, he's going to be a diehard back. Okay. Matty Ice went to school to run business operations. Okay. You're talking a lot. You're talking a lot to the people, bro. That's right, man. I'm talking to the people, dog. I'm talking. Eddie says Dan Marino didn't win it all either, but he's the best Dolphin ever. Exactly. He is the best Dolphin ever. No debate there. Matter of fact, Dan Marino one of the best quarterbacks ever. Right? You talk about arm talent, Dan Marino probably listen, Dan Marino was throwing over 5,000 yards when it was about running games. When they was talking about running games, go back. Dan Marino was throwing 5,000 yards when they were talking about the teams running the ball more back then. Dan Marino was throwing 5,000 yards. Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. So, you put him up there, top, right? Right behind the Joe Montana and the Tom Brady's and the Peyton Mannings, those guys, right? Keep it going, homeboy. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Whatever, man. So guys, like, for me, like, One of my buddies joked about I'm gonna be crying when Matt Ryan get hired. Like I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm probably one of the biggest Matt Ryan fans ever. So I'm biased, of course. And I definitely wish he would have won the Super Bowl, man. That damn 28-3, it still stings me today. He would have been Super Bowl MVP. After winning MVP in the league. Um, Nobody never gonna talk about that throw and that catch in the Super Bowl by Matt and Julio. Man, that's one of the greatest throws and catches ever. Right, the catch was better than the throw, 100%. Right, but the ball is to throw that ball to Julio, and then the catch, and then we'll never talk about that catch and throw because the Atlanta Falcons didn't win. But man, that's the greatest Super Bowl catch ever. I don't care what nobody says. It's the greatest play ever in the Super Bowl, man. In the moment and everything, you think go back to that moment and that time, um, you would you'd be like, wow, right? The fourth quarter, biggest play, one of the biggest plays, and that throw, like I said, the ball's to throw that throw, right? But the belief he had in Julio, then Julio to go up and get it, and the toe tap the sideline was just amazing. Unfortunately, they didn't win the damn game, man. But that's the greatest throw and catching in Super Bowl history. I know we got Lance one and all that. I don't even know if that was a Super Bowl. The immaculate reception, it probably was, but um, to me, that was the greatest ever, man. I don't care what nobody says. So, and then you can go back to the now. It rivals the Santonio Holmes catch, um, in the Super Bowl against the Cardinals. That might have been the greatest because that's to win the game, right? So I guess that might be the greatest because that did win the game. That catch, um, in the back of the end zone. So I stand. I digress. Right, that might have been the greatest catch. Santonio Holmes, Big Ben threw to him in the back of the end zone. Okay, I stand down because when I think about it, that's probably was the greatest catch because it did win the game. And vice, one that Julio called did not win. So, but okay, let's continue here talking about Matty Ice. The biggest news of the day is though the fact that since Matt Ryan is actually in the building, they actually started interviews today at 11 o'clock, and they're already starting the head coaching interview search. And they're interviewing Clint Kubiak and Anthony Weaver today. So both of those guys get interviewed today. Matt Ryan's in the building. He will be leading the coaching search as well as the GM search. Well, with that being said, the GM search, no, it's no rush in that search now because it's only one GM opening, right? And according to Diana Rossini, the Falcons interviewed Mike Disner, Ian Cunningham. Um, so I'm gonna tell you what these guys from. Mike Disner is from the Detroit Lions. Ian Cunningham is from the Chicago Bears. Brent Teals is from the Carolina Panthers, and Josh Williams is from the um, San Francisco 49ers. All those guys actually interviewed for the president position, but they was told that was for the GM role as well. So in essence, the Atlanta Falcons kind of killed two birds with one stone. They interviewed for the president position. We all knew 100% that position is probably going to go to Matt Ryan, but at the same time, they interviewed these guys for the GM role as well. So they kind of got interviews out the way, for the GM position, right? And they kind of, cleared that Rooney Rule as well for those top executive positions, right? Because they did talk to two minorities. And with that being said, since the Dolphins already picked their GM, the Atlanta Falcons can slow roll the GM higher, moving forward. Now, I would recommend that they go ahead and bring the GM in so they could take part in the coaches search as well. But I anticipate one of these four guys that Atlanta Falcons interviewed for the president, along with Matt Ryan, is probably going to end up being the one of the GM for the Atlanta Falcons. I think right now, if you look at the closeness that the Atlanta Falcons president Matt Ryan has with Ryan Poles, who's the general manager for the Chicago Bears, those guys went to college together. He was the right guard for Matt Ryan at Boston College. They real close, real tight, And he's actually been the one been helping Matt get ready for this new role that he's taking part in with the Atlanta Falcons. So Ian Cunningham is the assistant GM for Ryan Poles right now. So that that connection, when you kind of look at it, Ian Cunningham actually might be the guy that comes in to be the um the GM for the Atlanta Falcons, right? So just trying to connect the dots there. That's what it's looking like. That might be the case. Now, the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are bringing in Clint Kubiak, he's one of the favorites. Of course, Jim Harbaugh is probably the top target for any team that's available right now, besides the Baltimore Ravens. Um, but when you do want to think about taking this offense to another level, you want to think about a guy like Clint Kubiak, right? He has that Mike Shanahan tree, because we're going to go all the way back to Mike Shanahan. Of course, Gary Kubiak played up on the John Elway, right? All those years, a guy who went to two Super Bowls, won the Super Bowl. He was actually on the staff with Super Bowl. So Gary Kubiak, Clint Kubiak's dad, has that pedigree. Um, so that you see them ties there. They run a really really good wide zone scheme. It's what Atlanta Falcons offensive line is built off of, right? Um, all the way back from when Arthur Smith was here, if you look at what the Atlanta Falcons does better than a lot of teams in this league, is through that wide zone scheme, right? That's where you're going to do. You see that. So bringing in a offensive minded coach, in my opinion, is probably the way you should go. For one reason, when you do bring in a head coach who's your offensive minded guy, you don't have to worry about him getting poached by other teams, right? Because he's your head coach and he's the offensive guy, right? If you bring in a coach that is just a head coach, which I don't mind that at all, right? Because you do want a leader of men. So you bring in a John Harbaugh, right? But when he hires offense coordinators, you know, takes the offense to another level, i.e. Ben Johnson, right? You lose that guy to become a head coach. But if you bring in a guy who is the offensive genius and he's the head coach, then you don't have to worry about that. You look at a Matt LaFleur, you look at Andy Reid, right? You look at those guys that's there as the head coach, but they are the mastermind behind that scheme that you're trying to run. That's where you can kind of get away with that, right? So that's why bringing him in. Now the thing about Clint Kubiak, he has never been a head coach before, so it will be something kind of risky bringing in a president who's new, Ian Cunningham, if he's the guy who's new, right? Bringing in a new head coach, everybody's new throughout the leadership. You know what I'm saying? That means you need to bring in some veteran, coaches to come in to help even out the playing field, right? Now we know that the Atlanta Falcons block the interviews for Jeff Ulbrich, right, coming in, right? If Clint Kubiak, Arthur Blank did emphasize this, you can't tell a coach who to hire, but if Clint Kubiak decides that he want to keep Jeff Ulbrich on, a guy that's been in the league, he's been an intern head coach. Um, he had this defense humming this year, right? And hopefully, going into year two with this defense, it'll be even better moving forward. So those are some of the things that you want to look at. But Matt Ryan is hitting the ground running. Two coaches today. A lot of coaches probably going to get interviewed next week. We know John Harbaugh said he was holding his interviews to next week. Also know that the Miami Dolphins is really trying to target John Harbaugh. We heard about Kevin Stefanski, being linked to the New York Giants as well. Clint Kubiak already interviewed with the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm pretty sure the Atlanta Falcons going to take their time with their search, but they can't take a lot of time. And the reason I say that because it's 8 coaching open vacancies open, and the longer you take, these guys, it's not waiting until you to make your decision, right? They're gonna get on it because there's only 32 of these jobs, right? And now a guy like John Harbaugh could wait long as he wants because everybody wants him, so he's going to have his pick of the litter. But a lot of these coaches, if they get offered a job, they're not going to sit back and wait and see if the Falcons to get them offer, right? They're going to go ahead and jump on it. So the Atlanta Falcons, if they like any of these guys that they interview, they need to go ahead and make the decision and bring them in. And hopefully, like I said, it's it's something that a clear vision when they bring this guy in, right? That's what they need to do. Um, I mentioned it early. Whoever they brings in got to be able to give a plan about the quarterback position, because right now is this uncertainty there, right? How what they think about what Arthur Blank said, that he thinks that Michael Penix is the franchise, right? Um, what they think about the idea of Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, I think either way it goes, Kirk Cousins, I think is an understanding that he's going to be gone. Um, just the way they stretch his contract, I think he's going to be out the door. So, um, but these are some of the things that the new president is going to have to decipher, man. Being in his new role, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, right? That's what they say. Um, Coming in this new role, right? He knows football though, so he does have one leg up on most people, right? He was the leader of a team for 14 years, right? I mean, this when you think about the quarterback position, and I said this the other day, is that you have basically to know what everybody's doing. You went and think about how many different defensive coordinators and head coaches that Matt Ryan went against for 14 seasons, right? He had to be able to know their tendencies, know their game plans. He had to understand all the players, you know, how to beat them, how to beat this coverage. He had to know what all the offensive linemen's assignments was, protections calls, and all that stuff. He had to know what all the receivers routes they were running, right? He had to know what the running back was supposed to do. I mean, just so much from a quarterback position. Um, so he can take all them smarts and Arthur Blank said it best. He got a really high EQ and IQ to be able to come in and give guidance, right? Because also Arthur Blank mentioned that the GM and the head coach, they're going to do their role. So Matt Ryan is not coming in telling these guys how to do their job, but he's going to be able to provide guidance and keep the vision, really good and be collaborative throughout. That's what you want to see. So, um, this is exciting, man. This is exciting. Like I said, a new chapter is starting. All right, and this right here is going to see where it goes, man. We do know, um, from his 14 years here, that he wants to bring Atlanta Falcons to Super Bowl. And I think somebody said it the best was that he's gonna get a Super Bowl one way or another with the Atlanta Falcons, and this could be the way you do it, right? Um, you don't have to do it on the field, but you just have to make sure all the pieces on the field fit and they can deliver the goods, right? Great foundation. We talked about it, about the attractiveness of this this job openings that's here for all the leadership that's coming in. Um, but you still got to do the work. You still got to bring in the right people, um, and then the players got to do what they do best. That's what you want to see. I think the main thing that we want to see moving forward, building a new culture here for this team. One thing I like about a guy like John Harbaugh coming in is that that's what they built with the Baltimore Ravens. It was a culture, right? Um, the way you knew Baltimore Raven footballs, and that whole saying, "Play like a Raven," right? We don't have that kind of. We never really had that kind of identity in the Atlanta Falcons, man. We had what you say, we had time fragments in our organization where when we had the Great Blitz, right? I don't remember that, but I knew about it. We had the Great Blitz, right? And then we had the Too Legitly Quit Falcons, right? With MC Hammer and Jerry Glanville and those guys. And then we had the Dirty Birds, right? With Jamal Anderson, right? Then we had the Mike Vick era. We had the Mike Vick era, right? And then we had the Matt Ryan era, right? And all those different versions of the Falcons, it's really been different, right? It really not been a certain identity. Like you go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, they always been hard hitting, right? Of course, they had the steel curtains, but man, you watch the Steelers play, those guys bring it, right? Right. The AFC North is like the SEC, man. They new guys be hitting. You know you're gonna get that brand of football. It's gonna be hard fought, bloody nose, headaches, all kind of stuff, right? In that division, right? We want to build an identity in the Atlanta Falcons where when you play the Falcons, you know what you're getting. And right now, it's been so many different versions of the Falcons, and hopefully, you know, we can kind of create a version of this Atlanta Falcons team that when teams come to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium or when we go on the road, they know what kind of team they're gonna have to play that day, right? Um, last thing I gotta say is that one executive from the NFC South, it was rumored that they said the Falcons is coming. They can see it, and I agree with that. I agree with that. We one consistent signal caller away, and man, man, you know, it's gonna be something special to see, right? And that's all you got. That's all you got to go with. Uh, uh, you said, but what do you think about Matt Ryan as president? Yes, I think he's gonna do a really good job, man. I think he's gonna do a good job because he wants to bring the Super Bowl to the city. He knows he felt it for 14 years. The man, if Atlanta Falcons get a Super Bowl, man, you couldn't tell us nothing, man. I mean, the Braves brought home a World Series, right? Of course, that was during COVID. You couldn't have parade and all that crap. But if the Atlanta Falcons bring home Super Bowl, man, that city is going to be rocking, man. It's going to be rocking. So, and I know he knows that. So just because he knows what it means to be a Falcon, and he like I said, I think he wants it just as much as the fans want it, as much as Arthur Blanks wants it. I think he's going to give it his all and make sure. And the biggest thing about it, you know, they been interviewed a bunch of his teammates, and his teammates said that he's an asshole, and that's what we want. We want an asshole, man. Like, of course, he gets up in front of the media and talks, you know, politically correct and say all the right things because that's what you're supposed to do when you face a franchise. You're supposed to be presidential, right? But behind closed doors, you getting people out, right? And you hold people accountable, right? It's a difference between getting their ass, but don't hold them accountable. You got to hold them accountable, man. Right? Everybody remember the infamous um, open mic that we had on the Thursday night football in Tampa. He told Julio to get fucking set, right? Yeah, Julio Jones, Mr. Electrifying him, Mr. One of the probably the second best Falcon ever, Julio Jones, told him to get fucking set, man, on live TV. That's who he is, man. He's all about winning, and he don't take no shit, right? And they knew that from day one. You go back and listen to some of the interviews. A young Matt Ryan coming in from Boston College, number three pick overall, and he get in the huddle and he takes charge right away. That's what. Go back and listen to some of the interviews from some of his teammates back then about how he talks. So I think he's going to do a good job, um, because I don't think he knows any other way. Um, have you seen the Harbaugh's the man? Yes, I have seen it. Um, I don't know how true it is though. I can't believe everything you hear. Um, but I guess if it is true, it's gonna come out. One of the demands was he wanted to pick his own GM. That's not gonna happen, right? So and then he wanted to have all football decisions. That's not gonna happen. So I don't know if those are true, those demands. That means he's probably not going to be Atlanta Falcons head coach, right? Because that's the same issue they had with Bill Belichick. trying to be the overall, guy for the franchise. And I get it. You know, he's been playing for 18 years, but you know, we want you to coach, right? And you're going to collaborate with everybody else. So you won't all fall on you. It'll fall on everybody, but you do your job as a coach. I'm going to give you the right groceries to cook, and you go out and cook. That's what should be the case, right? You have say in the groceries, though. It's not like you just go with what you got, right? I got to cook, with these rotten tomatoes and stuff like that. No, you're gonna put your input in, but once we give your input and you take it, now you got to go cook it and make it a real masterpiece. That's what needs to happen. So that's what we're looking like. Um, so yes, I heard about those demands. Don't know how true they are, but some of those demands is not going to be met by from Atlanta Falcons franchise. Um, and then you go look at the Miami Dolphins. They already hired their GM, so pick your own GM. If that's what you want to do, that's not happening. And then every other team has a GM, so I don't believe that those demands are 100% accurate. I do believe he wants some kind of power structure there to be able to have some control, which you should. You're a head coach, but I think a more collaborative um, relationship with the organization, it should be the way everybody should go. Like I said, you don't want to be the one making all the decisions, and then I mean, and I get it. If I make our decision, if it fails, it's completely my fault. But that's why you put people in positions. You guys have collaborative thought process and be able to get things done. So couldn't wait to talk about. Yeah, and I couldn't wait, man. Hey, thought, hey, dog. I had to get on here. I'm late. Matter of fact, though, because people already been talking about it for like 2 hours, so I'm late. I'm definitely late to get to the show about Matty Ice coming in back into the fold. So, but the last thing I'm gonna say, guys, is that should be moving fast. Like I said, it's 8 openings, right? It could be more. We'll see this weekend after the festivities start today, going into Monday night, right? Because we know the Steelers. No, the Steelers, not the Steelers. Who play? Yeah, it's the Steelers. I forget who plays on Monday Night Football. Let me see here. Because this team that plays on Monday night, the Texans, yes, it's the Steelers. So the Steelers plays on Monday Night Football, right? And the rumors about Mike Tomlin. So we did hear about Matt LaFleur. They're talking about doing contract extension, so he might be a candidate that the Atlanta Falcons might not ever have a chance to interview because he might get locked up. Sean McDermott from the Buffalo Bills, another guy being talked about. Um, if they go down to the Jacksonville Jaguars tomorrow, that definitely could see something there. Um, and like I said, Mike Tomlin is the other guy that's been mentioned about being on the hot seat. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, I don't think it's a really exciting and sexy, you know, um, coaching pool out there. You got some older guys like a Mike McCarthy, right? Super Bowl winning coach. Got a John Harbaugh, Super Bowl winning coach. You got a Kevin Stefanski, two-time coach of the year. And then you have these guys that, you know, really that has never been head coaches, but bright and upcoming, right? And if you can find a Sean McVay, a Ben Johnson, right? Because Ben Johnson has been lights out. Um, or Matt LaFleur, or Kevin O'Connell, right? These guys are come in and really put their mark on, on franchises, and you like what you're seeing, the direction these teams are going in, right? But you do got guys like Brian Flores. I thought he did an excellent job in Miami. Probably should never got let go. Vance Joseph is another guy that probably deserves a chance. I would wonder to know his, his thoughts process on bringing in, the quarterback room, right? Because he's a defensive coordinator. Brian Flores the same way. You want to know, you know, who's going to be the offense coordinator and all that kind of stuff because when they do come in, those guys got to have all those answers, right? What's your vision for this team? What you think about teams? Hopefully, teams these guys don't looked at the roster and kind of decipher what they think they need. You heard Raheem come in and said, "We need a quarterback, and we're going to fix the quarterback position." And guess what they did, man? They doubled down on the quarterback position. So he had a plan, right? And a lot of people's going to say that they didn't let him work his plan long enough. Well, at the end of the day, Arthur Blank decided um, 2 years was long enough, and they didn't feel like this organization, this team, was going to take them to where they wanted to take. That's why he turned the page on Terry and Raheem and went in a new direction. So that's where it is. It's no need to keep looking back. Those guys are gone. Um, Kudos to those guys though. Like I said, man. Um, you look at the pieces that's been put in place, from Terry Fontenot over his 5 year period. The foundation is there, and then the fact that um, I believe they knew that they was getting fired way before the last game of the season. The fact that the coaching staff and the players played the way they played down the stretch. So I respect that a lot from those guys, and Raheem probably is going to get another opportunity here because of the work he did here at Atlanta Falcons. No, it just wasn't the right man for this team. Um, John come in. Looks like Kubiak signed. He will bring his brothers with him and have his legendary father in his ear to keep the same defense. Hell of a staff. He might be the guy, man. I'm not gonna sit here and try to say that he's not gonna be the guy. The biggest thing about bringing in a first time head coach is making sure you put him around, um, like I said, a veteran staff, right? So the idea of keeping Jeff Albrecht here, it would be great because he can keep his defensive staff here, and that's good, man. Because you got um, Nate Ali stays here, Jeff Albrecht stays here. This team is in the second year of this defense that broke a franchise record for sacks, right? Um, so that's something that definitely could be the case, right? But and like I said, bringing in the offensive coach this way, you don't have to worry about somebody poaching your coaches because you are the coach for the offense, like Andy Reid, like Matt LaFleur, like Kevin O'Connell, like Sean McVay, right? You can take their coaches. It don't matter. I'm the guy that's running this offensive scheme. So, right? Look at Dan Campbell. He lost Ben Johnson. Look at Todd Bowles. He lost his offensive coordinator, right? You see what happened to those teams when they lose your offensive coordinator. You lost Liam Cohen, right? You lose your offensive coordinators, and you're not the mastermind of the offense. You got to try to bring somebody in to try to replicate what the success you had, and then that's not good. So Kyle Shanahan, right? He's the offensive coordinator, pretty much, right? He bring in a guy, say, yeah, he's my offensive coordinator, but in reality, I'm that. Just Andy Reid, man. See, that's the point I'm making. So. Um, that's why you should go the offensive coach route, and then go from there. Um, Book Devil said, "Do you believe the Giants signing Stefanski or Harbaugh?" Um, I believe that it depends. It depends. I mean, like the crazy thing about John, see the difference between Stefanski and Harbaugh. Harbaugh had his choice, right? It's not like it's different. John Harbaugh, he picks his team. and Stefanski, the team is going to pick him. So that's the difference. That's the difference between those two, right? I think John Harbaugh will be able to pick any one of these teams if they interview him and they offer him the job. He can pick one of these teams, right? Because he's going to be, the priority pick for a lot of these teams. So he gets to have a choice because I think he will get offered a job from multiple teams where Stefanski is probably going to get offered a job from a couple. See what I'm saying? So um, that's the difference between these two coaches. So if the Giants offer Kevin Stefanski a job, I think he'll jump right on it right away. I do believe he'll jump on it right away because John Harbaugh will be like, well, I don't want to go there anyway. I want to go. You see what I'm saying? He could go to Miami. He could come to Atlanta. He could go to the Titans. He go to the Raiders. Nobody go to the Raiders, but you know what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying, right? But my point is that he has his pick of the teams that he want to go. That's just pretty much what I feel about him because he's the top commodity coach. A guy's coached for 18 years, 15 seasons in the playoffs, and one Super Bowl. Man, he has the pick where he wants to go. Stefanski, his last couple of years was not that good. He was 2-time coach of the year, and he's a good offensive mind, but I mean recency bias is it is what it is. I mean, he won 8 games in 2 years, so ooh, that's scary to think about. John Harbaugh, I mean Kevin Stefanski being your head coach. Um, Ricondo, I remember if we get Kubiak, I promise he will get us to the playoffs with the top quarterback in his first year. Damn. Okay. Okay. Hey, we need to pin that somewhere. I need to pin that, man. That comment right there. We're gonna hold you to that, Judge. We're gonna hold you to that. We're gonna hold you to that. Hey man, you see what he did with Sam Darnold? I'm not gonna sit here and say you're not going smoke. Also, I think the Falcons should be in the playoff because they have Drake London, B. John Robinson, AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, and Chris. Don't remind us, man, all the talent we got. Don't remind us of all the talent that we have, right? Man, like I said, start the show off having 4 All Pros: Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Jesse Bates, Chris Lindstrom, 4 All Pros, and we still ain't still the playoffs. Yep, exactly with Sam Darnold. Yes. Yeah. John, hey guys, I just want everybody to know John been talking about Kubiak for like 2 seasons. And if he becomes a head coach, man, he we gonna call him Nostradamus because he's seen it. He's seen it because he's been talking about Clint Kubiak for a while, right? And man, he's a hot coach. He's probably he out of the brand new coaches, he's probably one of the hottest coaches out there. So yeah, he's probably one of the hottest coaches out there. So there you have it. So I mean, so John, let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Let's see if what you say comes true. It says the defense is the only non properly used soul of the ball. Dirty Birds. I am in the bird state, and I love them. Man, this defense played lights out this year. They really did. I mean, they weren't perfect. I mean, because they gave up how many yards to Jonathan Taylor in overseas, right? So they weren't perfect, man. They gave up the lead after Michael Penix's great drive, first game of the season. They let Baker Mayfield go down through a touchdown pass. So some of the things that happened with Atlanta Falcons still happen, right? But I think if you fix the offense, and we talked about this all off season, man. I mean, now actually let's take in reverse. We all thought the offense was going to be start the season. That's what before the season started, we all thought offense is gonna put up 27, 30 points. You go back and look at people videos. People was like, man, this offense is gonna be there. Even Michael Penix said it was gonna be one of the best offenses in the league. Those are his words, right? What happened? What happened, guys? What happened to this offense? Where the second half of the season was like 22% on third down. You know what was crazy? They was really good in the red zone, but on third down, they was terrible, man. It was bad, really bad. John said, if he becomes the head coach, I will leave Galveston, Texas for the first time. Galveston, Texas, man. Hey, when you talk about Galveston, so let me ask you a question about Galveston since you're on the phone. I don't know if you remember that viral video of Charles Barkley inside NBA. He's talking about Galveston water. Is the water that bad down there in Galveston? Just a question, because it was funny when he was going off on Galveston, talk about the water that down there. The water bad in Galveston. So that's a question for you, John. If you can answer that question. But also the NFL is super soft because it used every was in the made difference. Now it is soft and you hit too hard. Yeah, man, you're right. You're right. They changed the rules a lot. It's crazy, man. Because if you go back and see how, I mean, the crazy part about it, man, some of those quarterbacks back in the day, it's just testament to how great they were, right? Because it wasn't no rules to protect the quarterback back in the days. Joe Montana, that's why Tom got it. I'm okay. We're gonna get to Tom because he got those many Super Bowls. But Joe Montana, man, was great. He was great. He was really good, and he played in that era where they could do anything to quarterbacks, right? So you're right, man. They changed the game, but I think when you think about it, some of the rules were the best, right? Because the studies about the head injuries and things like that was a fact and was true. So you do have to look at it to that standpoint. But you're right, man. The rules favor the offensive side of the ball, for the offensive side of the ball 100%. So um, that's the truth, right? Let's see here. Let's see what this statement says. John Harbaugh reportedly watching film on two quarterbacks and landing spot. What's two quarterbacks he's watching? Jackson Dart and Cam Ward. Hmm. So that's the New York Giants um head coaching spot and the Tennessee Titans head coaching spot. Hmm. Interesting. So he's definitely trying to go somewhere where a quarterback is in place, right? That's what it sounds like. Um, so he's watching film on Jackson Dart and Cam Ward. Hmm. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Mm. There you go, guys. That was that's breaking news, right? That was on Bleach Report. If I don't want to go look at their article that just came out, Bleach Report just put it out. John Harbaugh is reportedly watching film on two quarterbacks. On so that's Jackson Dart and Cam Ward, two young quarterbacks that he's looking at. Right, we know he likes his probably have his preference of what kind of quarterback. He was with Lamar Jackson all those years. You know, Jackson Dart likes to run around. Cam Ward likes to run around. So, hey, we'll see. Let's see here. John, did you ask me a question? Sometimes the ocean water is pretty bad, but sometimes it's clear as hell. 50-50 a year. If you ever come to Galveston, it's a party island. Yeah, we heard that's a party. Yeah, so that's cool. So sometimes not 50-50, right? Just you got to try to pick the right time of the season to come, I guess. Thanks for that info, man. I'm just curious. Just curious. Arthur Blank, what was it right here? It says Arthur Blank made two cold-blooded moves in the span of 1 week. I didn't agree with one that I understand now. So I'm pretty sure you're probably talking about Terry, right? Getting up out of here. Um, but let's be honest, man. With all the good Terry did, and like I said, it's a results driven league. That's what it is boiled down to, right? And if you don't produce, um, you could lose your job, right? They all know this coming in. The coaches, general managers, all this, and he was here for 5 years, and they never made a playoff. So that's why he got let go. After, and Raheem pretty much he sold us a bad bag of goods, man. Honestly, he said that this team was a playoff ready. They just need a quarterback, and I don't think the quarter. Well, let me take that back. Kirk Cousins felt this the first season, right? Though that 5 game stretch was terrible from him. So that to me that probably doomed us that first season because this season was a little different. Um, because it was everything else. It wasn't a quarterback play that doomed us. It was more of the play calling, like special teams. It was a lot of stuff. So it was more than just a quarterback in the second season. Um, but that first season, it was a quarterback play. I mean, that 5 game stretch that that Kirk Cousins had was bad. It really was. And I mean, and it actually screwed up the Atlanta Falcons' whole plan that they had at the quarterback position. I mean, just think about it. They brought Michael Penix in to sit for 2 years. That's what their plan was. Kirk Cousins blew that up from that 5 game stretch. So they vision that they had. So maybe they had a vision. Let's say this. Maybe they had a vision. Because when they signed Kirk Cousins and drafted Michael Penix, the thought process was they were going to have him here for 2 years, and why Michael Penix is groomed, sitting behind a veteran. Well, Kirk Cousins blew that up in the 5 game stretch that he had in the first season, and they had no choice but to go with the young quarterback who maybe not had been ready yet, but so it blew up their whole plan, and we're here now. So Matt Ryan hire will benefit Michael Penix Jr. more than anybody. I do agree with that 100%, man. I believe that. I believe the fact that because he played the position and he can help. I mean, if see, and this the thing, man. Like I said, guys, it's clips out there that emphasize. It shows you Matt Ryan's IQ. We talk about it. It's clips out there. I mean, they did do a hard knocks. So you go find a hard knock clip. But if you go look at Matt Ryan in the film room with guys and how detailed he is and how meticulous he is. We telling guys where they're supposed to be, making sure they understand where they're supposed to be on this play and stuff like this. You watch him on the field and things like that. He was smart as hell, right? And he should be able to help Michael Penix, you know, move on faster, right? Even though he's not a coach and he's not going to be on the field, but he can help with that. So there's a great point. Um, Coop saying that he's going to help Michael Penix out a lot. I do agree with that. Had a weak staff under him, but incompetence will show your hand every time. Raheem, I'm gonna tell you, man. One of the things I took most from the Arthur Blank press conference was the part about accountability and loyalty. And I tell you, when you building something and you're trying to achieve something, not holding people accountable, and being too loyal will retire. Not holding people accountable and being too loyal will doom you when you're trying to build something, man. That's I'm telling you, that kills you, man. When you don't hold people accountable and you too loyal to people, that kills you. It ain't about personal. That's why Arthur Blank can fire you. He liked freaking Terry and Raheem. He liked both of them, but doesn't stop the business. It doesn't stop not having the results that you need to have, right? Raheem, you can like those guys. You can like Zach Robinson. You can like Marquise Williams, but you ain't holding them accountable, man, because you're too loyal to them. You know what I'm saying? And then you get rid of Ike Hilliard. Why the trigger so quick on your receiver coach, right? No loyalty there. You hold him accountable to the fullest. You got rid of him after one game. After we got blowed out 30-0. That one game was so bad from the receivers to you that you got rid of the coach. But then you have a freaking whole season to look at the special teams, and you don't hold nothing. Nothing changes, right? I, Accountability and loyalty will get you doomed. I'm telling you. Raheem sees it, right? Loyalty to Jimmy Lake because he was your friend. Man, defense went down. Go back and look at the defense the year before and look at it what happened with Jimmy Lake. It was got worse, right? Like accountability and loyalty, man. Believe that when I tell you that. It's no friends, man. And your friend, if they're really your friend, they understand. I didn't get the job, so ain't no hard feelings, right? You listen to Raheem, he'll tell you. He probably mad about getting fired, but he understands why he got fired. Terry Fontenot probably mad he got fired, but I guarantee he understand why he got fired because they didn't deliver. 5 years, no playoffs. 2 years where you said you was gonna get it done. Yes, you probably deserve a second chance. But at the end of the day, you didn't get it done when you said you were. Right? If you come in and tell me, hey man, I'm gonna need about 3 years to get this thing turned around. At least you told me, and I said, okay, I still want to hire you. You need about 3 years, I'm still gonna hire you. Right? Now I can't go back because you told me you need 3 years. But when you come in and say this is a playoff team, just a quarterback away, and that's all we need to do, but then you don't make it 2 years in a row, hey, you didn't do what you said you was going to do. He didn't do that with his staff. You get them a job to do, they don't do it. Ain't no loyalty, brother. You got to go. That's why I couldn't be a coach. I'm be honest with you because I'm hard. Like I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna coach you, especially if I'm the head coach. I want to make sure I'm gonna give you all the resources you need, give you my expectations, and that's the way it's gonna roll. If you don't get it done, I'm going in a different direction. That's where it should be, man. I didn't want Morris as head coach, but what cost him his job, he didn't pull his offensive coach. Yes, yes, John, you are 100% correct. No, it was the special teams coach too. It was special teams and offense, hands down. The reason why he lost. You sound like a Marine. Well, hey, what can I say? 20 years to do that to you, right? 20 years to do that to you. But you're 100% right. I don't play when once a Marine, always a Marine. So let's just say that once a Marine, always a Marine. So yes, I still got that mentality. But when I was in uniform, yeah, I didn't play, man. Hey, you don't get a job done, you got to go. Like this was one of my main things when I was a leader of Marines, right? If I got to do your job, why are you here? If I got to do your job, why are you here? I hired you to do a job. You work for me, right? And if I got to do your job, why are you here then? You can go. That's one of my one of my pet peeves. If you work for me and I gotta do your job, why are you here? Leave. I do it. So you're right. Um, I sound like it, and hey, I would lead the team the same way, right? If I hire you to be for us to be able to produce on third down, and if you ain't producing, why are you here? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. I gotta find somebody that can. Until I do, well, I just keep hiring people and firing people because I want to be able to get third down achieved, right? If you say, well, reason I can't do it because this player, well, we need to get rid of that player then, right? It's got to be consequences, holding people accountable. That's what it got to be. If you're not going to do that, it's a waste of time. Accountability and loyalty. I'm telling you guys, that's what Doom Raheem is. You look at Kirby Smart, that's his problem. Too loyal, man. And I don't get me. I like loyalty, but your friends, that's that's your friend. You should mix business with pleasure. Then should mix business with pleasure. Look at Mike Bobo. He will not get rid of Mike Bobo because that's his buddy. Went to school with him, right? You know his dad and all that stuff. Gunnar Stockton, dad knows Kirby's dad. Loyalty, man. That's all that stuff. That's why you don't succeed because it's the whole thing like that. And people can say this about Arthur Blank, right? He liked Matt Ryan, he bring it in. Well, I promise you this. He likes Matt Ryan, he brought him in. But if it don't go direction that he wants to go in, Matt Ryan will be out the door. Because that's who he is. He's shown that. He's shown that. The only person he don't do that to is Rich McKay for some reason. Rich McKay, I don't know. Rich McKay must have got something on him, but he's the only one that he does not get rid of. But everybody else, he has shown that. And so um that's the accountability Arthur Blank was talking about. Yes. Yes, that's exactly what he meant when about accountability. You're not holding people accountable, man. You just I mean, what was his term every week? We gotta find a way to win the game. Dude, you know the way. We can see what's happening. Your special teams suck. Get rid of your change special teams. Something ain't right. If we can't cover on kickoff, kick the ball out of bounds every time. I mean, kick it out of the end zone. Simple. If we can't cover on kickoff, kick it out of bounds. Like, do something, man. Do something. But that's not what we were seeing. 100%. Blanket Blanket is not released the defensive coach. He's already turned to the Cowboy. Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, if they do bring in a Clint Kubiak, for an example, a young new coach, you probably would want to keep a Jeff Aubrey. However, that's not their call. It's the head coach call. So whoever the head coach is, they want to keep Jeff Aubrey. Um, he says he would recommend to keep him, but it's not up to him. It's up to the head coach. New Jersey said that's why the content streaks being a Marine meaning can't relate to the personality when they stand on business. Exactly, man. Yeah, man. It's about business, bro. I had a buddy of mine, and he picked up rank before I did. So we're gonna have story time here. He picked up rank before I did, and he had to counsel me. And he called me in like, man, I don't feel right counseling you and stuff like that. And I tell him, I'm like, dude, do your job, man. If I mess up, I messed up. If I didn't, I expect you to treat me as such, right? It shouldn't be about personal and friendships and stuff when it's about business. It shouldn't be that way, right? And some people can't separate the two, but if you can't, you shouldn't work with friends and family. It's just if you can't separate it, you shouldn't work with friends and family. You just shouldn't, right? If you can't separate the two, Raheem would have got some blanket parties for the. Oh man, he would have been gone quick, right? I know COs and first sergeants and sergeant majors got relieved for less. I'm telling you. Chiefs. I got seen Chiefs get relieved. Like you're right, 100%. Um, Kondo go to have a meeting with Blank. Tell him the needs to sign Kubi. hey, hey, man. Actually, this the signing in Matt Ryan's hand, man. He's going to make the final decision on who to hire. That's what it sounds like. Of course, probably going to collaborate with Arthur Blank, but he's the one overseeing these coaches hiring. So it's on Matty Ice, man. Kuya has worked with the defense before. He said Jerry Jones thought we was going to catch us slipping with ice in the building. We didn't. Falcon. Yeah, he tried his best to get. He tried his best to get Jeff Ulbrich, man. Yeah, he saw what Jeff Ulbrich did with his defense. He saw some people saying that he should go to Brian Flores, but the question is, why would Brian Flores want to lead the Minnesota Vikings defense for the Dallas Cowboys defense? They don't have the talent there. I mean, their secondary is busted. The linebacker core is not that good. They did bring in the guy from Cincinnati, right? Logan Wilson. That's probably the only good linebacker they got, but their secondary is not good at all. They bring Quentin Williams. They got Clark there. You know, they really don't have solid pass rushers there. Jadeveon Clowney is past his prime. So, I mean, why would you leave one situation for another? Now, if the Falcons decide to go in a different direction, yeah, you're gonna take the job that's offered to you because you still want to coach in the NFL. But if you have opportunity, especially Jeff Ulbrich, you have opportunity to stay something he built with this team, Atlanta Falcons. I think he will do that. Tremaine says, I think Raheem didn't understand the urgency to win. This will change. Yeah, man, he didn't. He obviously because he thought he had another year, right? He thought he had another year. But honestly, I keep saying this. I really believe he knew, him and Terry knew weeks before the end of the season that they was out. I mean, because it was already reports. Think about it. They hired the firm like 3 months ago, right? Maybe even 4 months ago. They hired the consultant firms, and then it was already rumors about Matt Ryan having a high position in the organization before the season was over. So they had already they had to know. They had to know they was out the door. And that's why I commend them, man, because the way we played down the stretch, knowing you about to get fired, I respect that. I respect that. That's probably why Raheem will get another job somewhere else because hats off to him. He ain't just throwing the top. He know he was about to get fired. You remember Lovie Smith? Remember Lovie Smith with the Houston Texans, and he knew he the word out he was gonna get fired, and he won that game on purpose for they lose that draft pick. And then they didn't remember that, and they didn't get the number one pick. So, hey, that's how it goes sometimes, man. He was salty before he left out. He was like, "We're gonna win this game," even though they didn't want him to win because they're gonna mess up their draft status, and he won anyway. But Raheem, respect to him because I do believe he knew he was out the door. Think about it, guys. The game was over at 4. By 8 o'clock, they had already announced they were relieving both of those guys. It was already a done deal, man. It was. It's no way Arthur Blank thought about it that quick. After the game, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't made my decision that quick." No, he knew already. They had already decided. They already knew what direction they was going in. Believe me, after Arthur Blank talked to those consulting firms and he told them what they discovered, with the help of the organization, they had already made their decision. So probably gave them their recommendations, and he was like, "Yeah, we're going to go in a different direction." Right? Trust me, they didn't just come up with president of football overnight. They had already had this all planned out. He said, "Obro is a run stopper away from the elite defense." Yes, yes, we need. we need some defensive tackles, and that should be. I mean, if he does have any say, he needs to say we need to go get some. He had Quentin Williams in the Jets, right? We need something like that. Yes, I agree with you. Run stopper, 100%. You get that, man. We got the pass rush locked. You get a there, the gonna double teams with your linebackers, man. That'll be something special to see. Something special to see. Um, John said Joe Burrow might be in trading blocks. Damn, he would perfectly. Like, ooh, man, you know what's crazy? So I talked about John Elway, right? And how this whole president of football thing is kind of tailored around what Denver Broncos did with John Elway, but he got handed Peyton Manning. Right now, he took a risk because you guys remember Peyton Manning had that neck fusion surgery, so he took a risk bringing in Peyton Manning. But imagine if Matt Ryan could get a. I mean, think about what Tampa fell into, right? Tampa got rid of and they inherited Tom Brady. So you're right, man. If you get one elite quarterback to come in, but I do believe they're gonna give Michael Penix opportunity, right? And it's only fair, right? It's only fair. The guy haven't even played a whole season yet. He has to stay healthy though. That's the main thing. If he does not stay healthy, um, that will be bad. So he does need to stay healthy. 100%, he needs to stay healthy. But um, if he can't stay healthy, man, cause so it's a risk on him. Like I said, bringing in Peyton with the Fruits neck, it's a risk on Michael Penix Jr. But he didn't have the credentials Peyton had, right? That fact, right now he's man, he on threads, man. People are already ready to write him off already, right? Which is unfortunately because the kid ain't even played the whole season yet, but he needs to stay healthy, right? If he can't stay healthy, then they need to go. They're gonna trust me. They are going to bring in another quarterback. They have no choice but to do that. Um, do you think Morris knew he was coaching his last game? I do believe he knew he was coaching his last game. I do believe that. Maybe he thought winning 4 games was going to change the owner's mind, but I think he knew. I think a lot of people say they didn't even see Terry Fontenot, you know, down because usually he'd be down on the field. They didn't see him down on the field, and then Kirk Cousins, I think he knew because he was taking pictures with everybody in the stadium, after the game and stuff. I know you would do another video on the draft process, but Lee Hunter on your list from Texas Tech, 6'4", 330. Oh man, I can't wait to get into the draft prospects, man. Well, because we got to start at the second round, you know that, right? So, it's gonna be a long first night for the draft for us because we don't have a first round pick this year. And then we'll see the Los Angeles Rams. I think they got a 13 pick. At least it's not top 10, right? It's 13 picks. So, um, but hey, we got 2 for 1. Like people gonna cry about not having the first pick, but we did get James Pierce Jr. and we got Xavier Watts for that trade. We got both of those guys. So yes, we don't have a first round pick this year, but we got Xavier Watts and we got James Pierce Jr. We got both of them. So we cool. We're not gonna cry about not having a first round pick this year, right? And plus, right, I think it would really be bad if it was like a lot of quarterbacks in the first round this year, and and we're like, man, you can't miss quarterbacks. We don't have that. It's not the quarterback pool in this draft is not that good. I mean, I think Dante Moore probably going to come back now, right? So Mendoza is probably the only first round pick out there. I mean, you could have got like Carson Beck, whatever. Yeah, we wouldn't go that route. So, you know, It's not a lot of quarterbacks in the draft this year in the first place. So the Atlanta Falcons definitely gonna look in the free agency pool. Like I said, I think they're gonna give Michael Penix a chance. So right now they're gonna do a bridge. I think the smartest thing for the Atlanta Falcons to do is to build around the quarterback position. Right? When you build a team up, just build it so great. Filling those holes. We just talked about defensive tackle, so a run stopper, right? Um, you get a solid receiver in here. Um, like I said, I think they need to keep Kyle Pitts. I really do think they need to keep him. They need to bring back Kay Nellis. Is another guy that they bring back. Those are only two free agents that I see that they must bring back. Tyler Algier would be nice, but I don't think he's going to come back. I think he's going to be out the door. But Kay Nellis and Kyle Pitts, I think they need to bring both of those guys back. Yes, I think they need to do that. Then they go get defensive tackle to help with run. Still need to answer that other second cornerback position outside to AJ Terrell. Um, like I said, get another receiver in, and then build more depth in other positions, man. Like they're close, but you build around the uncertainty that you have your quarterback. So when you finally do get that quarterback in place, and as a matter of fact, you're not asking your quarterback to do a whole lot, right? Um, like I go look and see what Trent Dilfer did for the Baltimore Ravens, right? He, I mean, it was crazy. Ray and Shannon said that Ray said, just give us 10 points, man. Give us 10 points, we gonna win this game, right? They knew they would. The team was about the defense. I'm not saying that. I think this team is offense is going to be really good, but until you know get the certainty at quarterback, build around the team because the pieces are there, the foundations are there. That's what I think they should do. But they're going to give Michael Penix an opportunity to prove that he's not the guy. It's only fair for him to do that. They spent eighth overall pick on him, right? You got to see, right? And I don't care what nobody said. It's not enough film on Michael Penix to determine either way that he is or not. That's the lie. So anybody saying that he can't do it, it's a bunch of bullshit, right? Bunch of bullshit. He won more games than Cam Ward. Cam Ward played the whole season, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like if you're gonna sit here and say that he does not have the goods to get it done, right? Because of win loss record, like okay, so don't just say the guy don't have the goods. We seen the guy play some good football, right? It's just been inconsistent, and that was your respect from a rookie. But he haven't even played a whole season yet, so they should give him an opportunity to play, and hopefully they bring in a guy that could help him along the way. Kirk Cousins want to be a starter, so let him go. Right? He don't want to groom Michael Penix in because Michael Penix is the future. He wants to be a starter in this league, so let him go do that. Right? You need somebody that understands that they're a bridge, like a Jameis Winston. I throw him out there. He's a gunslinger mentality, but Jameis Winston come in, he'll win games for you, and he knows he's trying to help Michael Penix out. That's what you want, right? You want somebody that want to come in and ain't trying to start. They want to come in and help out. That's what you want. In my opinion, Michael Penix is done. Surgery on both legs. I don't see him escaping from defensive linemen. I disagree 100%. Back in the day, ACLs were like doom for you. I don't see that anymore. I don't believe that anymore. And it was on his other leg, so that's the first time he tore ACL on that leg. So I believe he's going to be all right. I do, but they need to give him opportunity. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's going to be franchise, but my point is you got to let it play out and find out. Matt Ryan, will you understand the third string left tackle and David Seals is not the plan for success? Exactly. Exactly. David Seals can't be one of your best receivers. Be your fifth receiver, right? It could be your fifth receiver. I mean, just think about some decision Raheem made. Like you had Casey White, who was killing it in training camp. He was getting DNPs. He wasn't even playing. He was getting inactives. Like, I don't understand that, man. Like, explain that. How Casey Washington get out of favor with the coaching staff on receiver side? Like, I don't get it, man. Kyle Pitts heading to the Chiefs. No, he's not, man. Don't see, like, why you want to give the Chiefs Kyle Pitts? Come on, John. Don't say that, man. Why you want to get the Chiefs Kyle Pitts? Like, you want to just get him Kyle Pitts, man. If he ever gets together, it's gonna be scary. Don't give Chiefs Kyle Pitts. Hell no. Um, Running back Tyler here hits. I think. See, I think Tyler Algier is heading to the Chiefs. That's what I think. Tyler Algier is going to the Chiefs. You mean I know what you mean. You talking about Elijah Wilkinson. I know exactly what you mean. You said what you mean tackle. But Caleb McGarry will be back though. Caleb McGarry will be back. Trey said Penny's arm is better than at least half of the quarterbacks in the league throwing from a wheelchair. Yes, he has a arm on him. Honestly, man, I'm just to be honest with you. For me, like I just thought he was. They didn't utilize his talent the right way. I mean, if you look at the way the kid played in Washington, they didn't utilize his talent the right way. That's just my opinion. Like I just don't think they did right. And they didn't call good games, man. They just not they just did not call good games, offensive games for these quarterbacks. Even Kirk Cousins, they didn't call good games for him as well. They did not. I mean, the fact this what really irks me about this Falcons offense, the fact that when Kirk Cousins took over, they start calling ball up on the center, and to think that you claim that Michael Penix can do that, and you go look at his college tape, he played up on the center. So the fact that you don't think he could have played up on the center is just don't make no sense, man. But you played Kirk Cousins up on the center so many times. It's like they changed philosophies. Like don't make no sense, man. You did not use the guy's skill set to the best of his ability, right? You stayed in the same pistol kind of formation the whole time with Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins getting there, you get up on the center, you start running play action pass. Like it don't make no sense. I never understood their whole, and that's where you're talking about clarity and vision. You don't have no vision even for your quarterback position, man. Like what are you doing? I think the way that we have been doing things up and now has given us losing season. Hopefully, Matty Ice is in place. Will change our record. I agree, man. I talked about that. I think they need to bring in a culture change and an identity. Like I said, Atlanta Falcons been through eras. They never really had an identity. They've been through eras. They've been through the Great Blitz. They've been through the Too Legit to Quit. They've been through the Dirty Birds. They've been through the Michael Biggs. They've been through the Matt Ryan era. And then we've been through the losing era because these last 8 seasons have been a losing era. So hopefully we change all that and get it done. Um, Craig, Coop said Pitts wasted 5 years. Yeah, yeah. He was all pro this year. He ain't waste this year. Um, I went back and looked at Michael Penix Jr. upside. It must say a few quarterbacks in the league has the philosophy that he has. He has the needs to combine with the smart quarterback play and come to scheme. Yes, yes. I think he has a ceiling, man. He has to stay healthy though. Let's just be honest with you, man. He needs to stay healthy because that's probably the most disappointing part about this season is the fact that we didn't get to see him play a whole season to see the upside of this kid. That's the problem. So the jury's still out. We don't know. We do not know. If Kubiak signed, he could develop Easton Stick. I don't really see him as a bad quarterback. Easton Stick be the third string. You gotta follow the money, man. Follow the money. I haven't seen any Penix college pistol formation footage. I think he was in a pistol a couple times in college, but you're right. I'm telling you, he played up on the center. You go watching him, you watch him play up on the center. Like I have no idea why they assume that that's the only position he can play from, man. Man, and you know what's cool? Zach Robinson is interviewing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I hope he get a job, man. Hope he get a job. I hope he get it. And you know what? But he might be better because he got a veteran quarterback because he don't know how to groom young quarterbacks. So maybe a veteran is better suited for him. Well, he had Kirk Cousins, so never mind. I don't know. Oh, Raheem wasn't able to make changes midstream during the year. He didn't seem to hold people accountable or just that's why he's gone. Kevin, you hit it right on the spot. And I said this, the reason Raheem is gone and the reason the change is made and a reason why a lot of stuff happened in business and stuff is accountability and loyalty. When you don't hold people accountable and you're too loyal, that's why you don't succeed. And that's what killed Raheem. He didn't hold people accountable and he just too loyal to his homies, man. Oh, he's gonna get it right. I trust you. No, you're not gonna get it right. You showed me over this time span, a year and a half, Zach Robinson, you're not getting it right. We still suck on third down. You got to go, bro. Like, but no, he didn't do that. A lot of shotgun, no pistol. Oh man, you're gonna eat that one alive. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. These guys get stuck in their ways, right? And he used to get so you know defensive about it when they asked him in press conference about the pistol, right? And it was like a lot of guys told me it was really hard to no, it's easy because they see your quarterback standing there. If your quarterback up on the center, it makes the linebackers pause for a minute. I promise you, it makes the linebackers pause just for a minute because they don't know if you're throwing the ball or you passing the ball because you're up on the center. It's easy for them to see when you in because you're either gonna get it to them or not, right? You right there, like, come on, man, like stubbornness. But what pisses me off is when Kirk Cousins got in the game, he went up under center. Like what? What is you had the philosophy of the pistol, 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 but when Kirk Cousins got in the game, you just did away with your thought process. It didn't make it easier. Like, come on, man. Come on, bro. Like you had to go. You had to go. Guys, I've been talking for almost 2 hours, so I'm about to get up out of here. But it's exciting times in Atlanta, man. Even though we're not playing this weekend, this wild card weekend, we're not playing. We asked out again. We asked out again for the eighth season. We're not here. We're not in this tournament. I call it a tournament, right? Because that's what it is, man. You get in a tournament, you got a chance to win it all. Look at the New York Giants. New York Giants was 6 seed. Remember that when they only had 6 seeds, right? They didn't have seven. They had six. 6 seeds went to the Super Bowl. Look at the Baltimore Ravens under John Harbaugh with Joe Flacco. They got in the dance. He beat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning to the Super Bowl, right? You don't know what's gonna happen, man. You get in the dance, you give a chance, right? We ain't got there in 8 years. The last time we was there, a pass catch, between Julio and Matt, where Julio couldn't get his feet down in the back of the end zone against the Philadelphia Eagles. You know who went to the Super Bowl that year? The Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Patriots. They beat the Patriots. So I'm just telling you guys, you got to get in the dance, man. And we failed to do that for 8 seasons. 5 of those seasons with Terry Fontenot. That's why he's out. And Raheem, they just weren't willing to give you another season, brother. That's what it boils down to. John says, okay, Ricono, whom would you like to see as the Falcons head coach? only choose two coaches. Okay, so I guess I have to say John Harbaugh, right, for the first coach. I have to say him because it'd just be dumb if a guy who's coached for 18 years wants to be the coach of your team and you tell him you don't want to coach your team, right? So I'm gonna say John Harbaugh because if he want to coach your team, they have to get him the job. It's just you have to do it, right? And hopefully he puts everything in place, right? I'm just saying him, right? So I'm gonna say three because I got to give him. He's like the guy, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I'm on board, man. I'm gonna say Clint Kubiak is the second guy because of the offensive prowess, and I believe he could work well with this offense, right? Um, so I would say him, and then the reason I say him because if we can keep Jeff Ulbrich, that would be cool as well. Because I like to see the defense, have that year one to year two jump in the whole same scheme, right? Instead of changing schemes again, right? I think it'd be like third season, this team change schemes. So it'd be really nice to keep the same scheme on defense because they played well, right? Um, so that's why I would say Clint Kubiak, and then if I got to make another guy to be the coach, who I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say Jeff Ulbrich, former head coach that he had with New York Jets. I'm gonna say him, right? I can't think of his name right now. It's brain fart, but I would say him, right? Um, I don't want Kevin Stefanski. If you get Kevin Stefanski, I see why. Two-time coach of the year, but man, recency bias. 8 games in 2 years. I just don't see why people want to bring him in. And then the way he handled the whole quarterback situation in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson and Shador, and that it was a mess, man. So I don't know about Kevin Stefanski, but I do believe that he does have the acumen to be a really good head coach. Just don't know. Um, so if I gotta, okay, I'm gonna just stick with two: John Harbaugh, Clint Kubiak, and then like I said, if we go with the head coach, the former head coach for the New York Jets, who's the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers right now, I think I don't think the Jets was a good organization. But the way they had that defensive plan, and if they had any semblance of offense in the New York Jets, they really would have been. They really would have had a really good team, right? They had no offense at all when he was the head coach for the New York Jets. They had no offense. I mean, they still was in games. Think about how they still was in games. They had no offense at all whatsoever, and they still was in games. They was in a lot of games with no offense. So um, I could see that. I really can see him coming in, but he would have to have a really good game plan by his vision for the quarterback and the offense, right? Because I think the main thing that the Atlanta Falcons need to find out is their vision for their quarterback position. And if you don't have a vision for the quarterback position, you know, um, you're not going to do well, right? So there you have it. Been more exciting this week than all year. You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. Ever since we got eliminated, I was like, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I'm be honest with you. When Michael Penix went down, I knew the season was over. I knew the season was over when Michael Penix went down. I was like, man, the season's over, man. Like because my most exciting thing was to see the kid had it, and then he got hurt. I'm like, damn, what are we gonna do now? We don't even know we got a quarterback for the future. That shit sucked. So, and we still don't know, but we got a whole new leadership, so it's exciting again. So, um, John, on to something. His resume it is impressive. I didn't know much about him, but the Dirty Bird fly through video on him opened my eyes. Yeah, man, I'm telling you something. Um, we need to see what happened. We really gonna need to see what happened, man. All right, guys. Like I said, I've been talking for about like 2 hours, so I'm about to get up out of here. We hear any more news? on on the head coaching search. I think the head coaching search is going to go first. Believe it or not, I think we're going to be able to announce our head coach before we announce our GM. I think we can announce the GM anytime because I think those four guys that they interviewed for the president is the guys that's running in the running for the GM. So they could pick any one of those guys anytime, right? But the head coaching search is the most pressing because it's 8 openings, and you don't want to get second choice and third choice guys. You want to get your first choice. So when you interview a guy and you sold on that guy, you can go ahead and offer that guy, right? And I think it's fair to interview all the guys though. So you still need to do interviews with John Harbaugh, who's coming up this week. You need still need to do interviews with other guys that you got that you plan to interview. You need to interview everybody, but if you sold on a guy, you need to go ahead and lock him in, right? And live with your decision, right? That's what it's all about. So, guys, thank you for tuning in today. We got a new president. Well, I keep saying new president. We got a president, right? Because this is a new position. So this is not we got rid of a president. We brought in a new one. No, this is the first president ever of Falcons football, right? And it happens to be the greatest Falcon of all time, in Matty Ice. So, um, hopefully, he said he's a Falcon through and through, and he's going to try to deliver the goods. Hopefully, he does. Um, and a new era has begun here at Atlanta Falcon football. You know, even though it's a familiar face. So there you have it. This is your boy Ricondo come back at you with another video. Peace.